The moment you say you had feeling for someone before marriage, people act like you have committed a major sin. Astaghfirullah, stay away from that man, etc. etc. But here's the uncomfortable truth: love happens even before marriage, even to people who's trying to be righteous. So, why are we so quick to label it haram instead of guiding people through it? See, Islam isn't against emotions, it's against what happens when we lose control of them. It's against the secret meetings, crossing lines, and disrespecting the process, not the feeling itself. I know this because I've lived it. I didn't just study this topic, I went through it, and instead of giving you some textbook answer, I want to bring my wife in on screen so we can talk about what really happens when two people trying to love the halal way. We had to face judgment, obstacles, culture noise, but at the end of the day, it was our faith that helped us draw the line between what's real and what's wrong. If you ever wondered, is love before marriage is halal or haram, or is it more complicated than that? You're in the right place. Let's talk about it and do it honestly. Okay, so this is my wife. She's Egyptian, and we have met through a online meetup, sort of. If you don't know the story, here's a link. You can check it out. But basically, when we met, it could consider as haram because we were in a long distance relationship for a while.
Yeah.
So, do you think falling is love haram, or it's just a human emotion?
No, falling in love itself, it is not haram, it's just a human emotions. And what is haram is acting to that love, like through physical contact, secret meetups, or emotion attachments without commitment. That can cross into, like haram territory.
Yeah, that completely makes sense. I feel like having emotion is not a problem, it's what you do with it. There are times that you're not going to feel that closest to the person, or the time you're going to feel too close to the point that you might be crossing something haram. Acting on that belief is going to be problematic. As long as you're not doing that and you're having a connection, and as long as you have some sort of guidelines and red lines not to cross over from each party, I think you'll be just fine.
So for the next points, our parents had arranged marriage, but that doesn't mean that's actually a sunnah.
Many people think the only way, halal way, is the arranged marriage, but the Prophet himself, peace be upon him, received many proposals, allowed interactions, and even accepted feelings before marriage.
Yeah.
Khadija Razilullah anha, she actually the one who proposed to Prophet.
Yeah, totally agree, because in our culture, like men usually who has to take the first step and make it very clear and just go to the parents, or we think for our parents to arrange our marriage is the true thing, the only true thing, which is not true. If you as a girl, you think there's a one person, he's the one for you, and he know Allah and he know his deen and he is religious, and you like him, go ahead, tell your parents, tell him, and don't feel shy about it, because this is what Khadija radiallahu anha did, which is our leader.
And this is how the Western culture promotes that only men supposed to make the move, and it's all about men.
Yeah.
But you can also go ahead and propose. It doesn't make you a bad person.
She might feel shy, or she might feel like the other person, he's gonna take a bad impression about her, because this is not normal. But again, this is like gonna be a test for him to test his deen and his connection with Allah. If he know exactly his deen, he will not think bad about you, because he will know that Khadija radiallahu anha, she did that, and he will not take it as a bad sign or anything.
Right. So the third point is dating is haram, but getting to know each other is not.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. Islam allows us for getting to know a person with intention for marriage in a halal way, like a khutbah. There is a khutbah, that's the time that in the Western country they call it dating, but it's dating with around our family, and our family know about it, so that's gonna be within our Islam. But the real question, are we mature enough to separate halal curiosity from haram desires?
Yeah, this is where a lot of work comes in before you're getting to know each other, before you're even thinking to get married. Okay, at that time you have to be mature enough to know that what the marriage looks like, what courting mechanism will look like when you're getting to know a girl, what's your limit and what's her limit, what are the questions you shouldn't be getting into because it's getting too personal, and what are the questions you should ask without getting too personal. The real question again comes down to what is halal or what is haram, and you should know your boundaries before you start talking to that girl. So can we say dating is haram, but then leave people to marry stranger that increase the risk of setting them up for divorce?
That's why Islam forbidden, for example, a girl to get to marry someone without knowing him, because again, that's, as you mentioned, increase the risk of getting divorced, which is not something Islam will encourage. So you have to have your time to get to know the other person without doing anything haram in your limitation. This is what you should do.
So the next point is people think nikah is a jail cell technically. So they delay it as long as they can and fall into haram. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, so the stigma of young marriage leads to people hiding love or sinning. And in the same time, Islam made nikah very easy, and we as a human made it very hard.
Yeah, this is the actual problem, because like the problem is that young marriages are so looked down upon, especially in the Western culture. Western culture tells you date with them, live with them for a couple of years, maybe have kids before getting to marriage, while Islam is like, no, if you like someone, talk to them. If they like you, then figure out something and get into marriage and make this relationship halal, and then continue building your life, continue knowing each other over the time, because it's not like it's a jail cell. It's just you can figure it out if you need to, or you can move on if you really need to.
But do you think would dinner rates drop if we made the early marriage easier instead of demonizing love?
It would drop, and it would drop drastically. But what I worry that it could increase the divorce rate as well. Why? Because people think that, oh, there is someone better out there, I should have looked more, I shouldn't have fallen in love, things like that. But I think what you have to understand, every decision you're making at this time, it's done and placed by Allah. Okay, nothing you're doing that's against of what Allah wanted you to do anyways. So if you're in the marriage, just go on with it and try to make it better, instead of looking ways to get out, one, or to think that there is better out there for someone for you. That's not true. Whatever you have right now is exactly what you needed to have. The next point is, do you think the emotional affairs can actually be worse than the physical affairs?
For example, messaging late at night, or constant DMs, or confiding in someone who is not your spouse, that isn't innocent, because Islam value modesty of her before anything else.
Correct. The thing is, if you are modest from heart, you wouldn't get into these things, and you'd be like, hey, 2 o'clock DMs are not good. That's just bad in general. Okay, the question is, you might not be loyal, or you might not touch someone, but you're emotionally loyal to the person who's not your spouse.
Okay, so for that, I really don't know, but I think it's fine to be loyal for someone that you think he deserve it. Okay, within your limitation, within your Islam limitation. Again, I think there's nothing wrong with that. It's just your feeling.
That's if you know this is the person you're going to marry, and things are going good, and then at that stage you're loyal to them, that's fine.
Because if there's a khutbah between us, because if there's a khutbah between us, I have to be loyal, because like in Islam, there's I don't remember the exact same hadith, but I think it called like we cannot do khutbah on top of the khutbah of your brother. Like for example, like if you wanna do khutbah for a girl, and this girl she's committed or in a khutbah with another guy, you cannot do khutbah on top of him. So that's why we have to be emotionally loyal to the one that we are committed to right now.
Right. But outside of marriage is bad, of course.
Yeah, of
right?
course. There is no intention to get married, like just committed to someone
Yeah.
or be loyal to someone without any plan in the future.
That's
That's
haram.
I don't think that's halal.
All right, so next thought is social media love is a fitna that's disguised as a romance.
Yes, I agree, because online love stories glamorize haram interactions, but most of it is actually performative.
Yeah, I feel like sliding into DM has become one of the new proposal.
Yeah,
But it starts with like casual flirting, right?
Exactly.
You start and slid into someone's DM and things like that.
yeah, that's what I'm saying.
The love that you see online on the TikToks and reels and things like that, 90% of that is not true. Trust me, since we get into this YouTube thing, we have to do certain things to get ready for the camera,
Yeah.
and which is not natural, which is not
Exactly.
normal. We kind of feel ew or awkward in the beginning, then we get used to it as different scenario, but that just not real. There are some loyal or real glimpse of a relationship you can see through the acting. That kind of gives you an impression of what is really happening.
Yeah.
One of the interesting point that I see in my research is that love after marriage is not guaranteed.
Or if you have a love before marriage, is not still guaranteed after marriage, because you can fall in love before marriage and build it if done with respect and Islamic boundaries.
Marrying without knowing
Yeah.
anything about the person is kind of risky, because the initial khutbah is actually about that, right? Like
Yes,
you're
about
getting
you.
to know someone to the core, so that you are more comfortable with, first of all, as a husband, and second, comfortable with how they think, behave.
And just all about our parents who told us when we were young that love is against Islam, and that's because they were afraid for, like, if we actually fall in love, we're gonna do something bad. So just like they cut this boundary, or they cut this point by saying it's haram or it's not allowed, but it's actually allowed. It's fine, you can love, and if you love, there is nothing wrong with that.
To end the story, yes, if you love someone, make it halal and do it now. Not today, not later. Right at this moment, before you hit the pause, text that person, tell that person your intentions, and the same text, copy paste that to your mom and let her know that
Yeah.
this is happening with you, with someone, and then you can continue the topic. So that's all for today's video. If you enjoyed, hit the thumbs up. If not, thumbs up anyways. I'll see you tomorrow with the next video. Till then, take care of yourself and of this channel.